Moments with God, where I share with you my simple, humble reflections on the daily Mass readings with the hope that this will help you and me in our spiritual journey, in making a connection with the divine, and eventually even building a relationship and at a deeper level, even friendship with God. And maybe you are interested to subscribe to this channel, you may please do it now. And it may be also useful for others if you share the video. I know that many of you just watch the video, do not watch the whole thing, but it just takes one click to share it with your near and dear ones, and they can also take advantage of it. Thank you. Today, you see, I am sitting on the floor in a big kind of a lawn, green grass all around, and I have also chosen to wear a green t-shirt to match with the background. And I suppose you by now will know why. Today's gospel is about the multiplication of bread. But where did that multiplication of bread take place? Actually, the crowd that was following Jesus, because they were hungry both for his word that were falling from his lips, and because they were interested in doing something for their soul, for their spiritual life. That is why they were following him and listening to him and his teachings. And then he realized that such a big crowd, and it is already getting evening, where will they eat? He was worried and concerned about their well-being, not just spiritual well-being, but also physical well-being if they were hungry. So he asked his disciple, Philip, what about having some food for these people? So Philip said, 200 denarii, which is actually almost 6 months' wages of a person, would not be enough to feed this big crowd of people. In the meantime, Andrew, his other disciple or apostle, brother of Peter, he came along and suggested to Jesus that actually there is a boy here who has 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. But then what is that with such a big crowd? And Jesus told them, make them recline on the grass, naturally on this big vast grass of land which must have been there. He made them sit there. So in order to experience that, I am also sitting on the floor today. As you see, I am not wearing a coat, I don't have a chair, or I am not standing up, because if I stand up, I don't get the view of the lawn or this wide place. Of course, if I was using artificial intelligence, then I could have filled the background with 5,000 people, but I am not using any artificial intelligence, no graphics, no music. My videos are plain and simple. I emphasize on more of the spiritual side. And I know that some of you, maybe you are interested in spiritual life, but maybe many of you like to watch fun videos, TikTok, or other kind of music or dance or travels, I don't know. And that's maybe the reason why the channel is growing very slowly. But never mind, that is another matter. If you are interested, you may please share it with others and not just ignore it. So here is a story of the multiplication of bread. Jesus made all those 5,000 people sit down. Of course, there are various theories about this parable. One, or this incident rather, not parable, incident, that actually more than just 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread, people were carrying something of their own, but they were not opening up, because they were worried, if I open my tiffin or what I am carrying, I would have to share it with others. So each one was carrying something, so it is said by some commentaries. And when Andrew proposed that this boy is carrying two fish and five loaves of bread, Jesus made them sit down. Of course, the real thing I feel is that there was a real miracle of multiplication of bread. I am just telling you in the background that there are sometimes some commentaries like this, where it is said that no, everybody opened their tiffin and they began to share with one another. So that's why there was enough of food for everyone. So one interpretation is that when we are open for others and when we want to be generous with others, then God takes initiative to multiply not just bread but also multiply our blessings. And only when we are very selfish or are being closing ourselves from others, then of course selfishness does not bring blessings. There are many wonderful stories about it, but there is a real incident. I came to this another family here in Germany, and yesterday there was a man who came and was talking exuberantly. So much he was talking. And why? Of course, he's a German and he has adopted an African family from Ghana. And he is so full of enthusiasm how he is bringing up these children for last 10 years, and now they're ready to get into the job market, and they are wonderful, 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 all very beautiful stories. After this man left, this lady told me, do you know, Father Dominic, this man was under deep depression. He had psychological problems. And then suddenly one day, these three Africans, they were homeless and were looking for a place. This guy offered them his house to stay with his wife's permission, of course. He has his wife. So these Africans came into their house. Of course, here houses are big, they have many rooms here. So they could stay with them. And this lady explained to me, he's a real good man, very good heart. He opened his house, and as he got involved in helping these people to settle down, to educate these children, to take care of their mother, his sickness began to disappear. How wonderful! And I will not take too long, but this is the famous story also of the American Rockefeller. You must have heard of Rockefeller. Rockefeller Foundation now, foundation is like an agency which provides huge amounts of money for people to do research with medicine and various kinds of scholarships. It provides huge amounts. Rockefeller became rich by selling petrol or petrol companies he got involved into, and then at the age of 52 or 53 he got very sick, so sick that he could not eat. He was living only on milk and biscuits. That was his condition, and doctors did not have much hope. Then one day he said, I have so much of wealth that I have collected, what will I do with this wealth? And he got this idea, no, I will start doing something positive for people. And he started making foundation for research in medicine. And it is said that when he started sharing his property that he had collected, his health started improving. Can you imagine? The more he opened himself to the people with his wealth, rather than collecting and being selfish, his health began to improve and he lived to be almost 90, I'm told. So this is what happens when we are generous. It multiplies. This is what Jesus is trying to tell us, that even though you have only two fish and five loaves of bread, if you are generous with God's blessings and God's wishes, these things can multiply. Of course, there is a long thing I can say, but you know, another thing that I am feeling, I am sitting here in this lawn. Somehow I am feeling that yes, I am in the lap of nature, I am in the lap of God. And here I am with my deep faith. And if I also become generous, of course, God will fill my lap with more blessings. And I can tell you that I feel in my life very blessed, very blessed. God has been so good to me. Not that every time I was aware of God's goodness, and not that every time I was grateful to God. And this is something that happens also to us. God has been always generous. He multiplies blessings in our life through so many things, provided we are open, we are aware of God's working in our life. I just propose this particular gospel from the Gospel of St. John will continue for several Sundays. Today it begins with the multiplication of bread. I wish that more blessings in your life multiply, and that this channel, if you share with others, will also multiply with more viewers and more listeners, that they also improve their spiritual life. I wish you all the very best, and if you would like to subscribe to this channel, please do it and share it. And may I also request for one more thing: if after watching the video, if you may like to make some comments and some questions, then that would be also nice. The other day somebody asked me, according to our Christian calendar, when is the Sabbath? So I am happy to respond to your queries or questions or comments. Thank you.